This video is a quiet, two-headed monster, appealing to two overlapping but slightly different audiences. First, if you're new to freelancing or thinking about going freelance as a graphic designer or illustrator, animator, or any kind of creative person doing work for clients, but you're intimidated by the financial, businessy stuff and you're not sure how to do invoices, I'm going to talk you through all that. It's actually really simple. And then I'm gonna design a new invoice template for myself, so you can watch me do a bit of document design while I talk you through my creative choices along the way. If you're only interested in that last part, you can just skip ahead to the timestamp right here, or here. Okay, so first of all I should mention that these days a lot of people just use some sort of web-based software solution to handle their invoicing, often as part of some kind of subscription-based accounting service. That is totally fine, and many people prefer to do that, but I like to do things my own way, and I like to kind of stay in control of every aspect of my business if I can, and I also like to not pay any money to any third parties unless it's absolutely necessary. So I do my own invoices. That way I also avoid situations where a third party gets bought by a fourth party or they decide to add new fees or anything like that. Anyway, when you do freelance work, you make your beautiful thing for your beautiful client and then it's time to get paid. But in order to get paid, we need to remind these people that they owe us that sweet, sweet cash. And that's why we need to email them an invoice. So this is the invoice template I designed back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, except I've stripped out my personal details, but let me tell you how this works. Your invoice can look totally different from mine, but you're gonna want to declare that, hey, this document is an invoice. Then you're gonna want to include an invoice number. This can be a totally made-up number, there's no legal framework for it or anything, just come up with a system that works for you. I just do whatever year it is, followed by which number invoice it is for me that year. Then you'll want to say who this invoice is from, so I've got my business and my name and address here, along with my email and phone number. Then you gotta say who this invoice is for, so under Bill To, you put your client's business name. This can sometimes be required to be written in a specific way that could be different from their public-facing common name, so ask your client what this needs to say. Some financial departments get really finicky with this. Then you'll want to have a CC section where you put the name or names of people at the company you've been dealing with. So basically when some finance person at the company receives this invoice and is like, what the f***, who ordered 12 illustrations of butts? They can look at the CC part and know who to check with to confirm that they literally just spent thousands of dollars on butts and that you are the rightful beneficiary of that decision. I always put a basic job description here so we all know what we're talking about, and then I list the specific things I've done with the price for that thing on the right with a big fat sum at the bottom. Your invoice needs to say when payment is due, and a lot of people say it's due in 30 days or even 60 days after receiving the invoice. You know what I say? I say, fuck that. Pay me now. And then down here you put information on how they're gonna pay you. To get money wired to you, you'll need to include electronic payment info from your bank, including their SWIFT code. So look that up, along with their routing number and your account name and number. And then I like to add some warmth at the end, because I really do appreciate everyone who chooses to work with me. So that's typically all you need. Go get that bag. Like I said, this is the invoice I've been using for many years now and it works reasonably well, but there are some issues I want to address in my redesign. Number one, I'm doing so much work each month for one of my regular design clients that I often struggle to fit it all into this table. So I need my new invoice to accommodate more rows. Secondly, this invoice is an Adobe Illustrator file because I used to do all my document design in Illustrator before I got more experienced with InDesign. As a result, some of the ways I have to update this to generate each new invoice are a little bit clunky. It's going to be easier using InDesign. And finally, I have a redesigned logo, so I need to update my invoice template with that anyway. I don't think I need to reinvent the wheel here, but I thought it was just time to do an overall refresh. So here I've just added in a table and removed the edges of it on the sides, thinking it might be nice to give it some air. I'm making the title row a little less tall, and I've already given it a light gray fill. Then I'm adding a few rows to start to get a feel. And then I add a bunch more. I need to figure out how much I can fit. Now I have sort of a unique situation where for my biggest design client, we like working together so much that they added me to their payroll, and I do some work for them as sort of a part-time employee up to a certain dollar amount, and then I do freelance work for them on top of that. So in my invoices, I indicate to them what's covered by their payroll and what they owe me as a freelancer. So here I'm making my little payroll indicator. I'm sorting out the spacing here for the payroll box, then tinting it lighter and rounding the corners. Tightening up the kerning a bit, and then spacing it in a way that feels good within the table cell. These things don't technically live inside of the table, they're just placed on top, but I have a dumb hack for how I want to manage that, which I'll get back to later. Okay, so now I'm adding in a bottom row and entering a realistic sum for what I typically charge my clients each month. I'm pretty successful, as you can see. And then I'm converting this to a footer row and then styling it to basically match my top row. I'll show you why I defined this as a footer row in a minute. There's actually a point to that. But now I'm leaving the table for a bit and focusing on getting some of the other stuff worked out. I like the big invoice text in my old version, and the basic layout works for me, so I thought I'd largely stick with that. So here I'm adding my invoice number, and I always liked spelling it out like this. It's kind of a quirky thing, but rather than just having this cryptic number practically hidden with no context, I like literally writing like, hey, this is the invoice number right here. Just making it, big and clear. And then I thought maybe I would echo the style of the payroll indicator to make it even bolder, and I'm playing with spacing it to echo the table structure. And I thought maybe I could split the bar in two and do the date next to it. Like most designers, I don't usually like to center text, but because these things will have variable widths as I change the numbers and dates, I thought it might be an okay solution here. And previewing it, I think it looks pretty good. So next I'm bringing in my redesigned logo and I'm scaling it to match the height of the invoice text. It will still feel smaller optically because of how it's designed within that box, and also because of the light colors of my logo. But I like that in terms of hierarchy, and yet they are structurally aligned, so that's satisfying. And then I'm moving the elements down a little bit from the top margin line to make sure that no part of the typography extends beyond that. And then I'm kind of an extremist and I guess literalist when it comes to aligning type. Okay, so here I'm starting to work out how I'll align elements relative to the table cell divider and how I'll space things around that imagined vertical line. And some of those considerations then affect the spacing of other elements, so I'm sort of massaging this into some kind of equilibrium. And by the way, yes, I do sometimes use temporary lines and boxes to align stuff, rather than the built-in guides. I like the more manual feel of doing it this way for whatever reason. I know some of you will cringe at this, perhaps even scoff. Oh no, not the scoff! Alright, so now it's time to add my name and address, and again I'm using a temporary box to space this out, and I include USA because I do work with clients from all over the world, and a +1 for those international calls. And obviously this is my extremely real address and phone number, so, give me a ring. The spacing here feels really awkward and tight, so I'm reconsidering the whole thing and trying to put the invoice number and date up top, next to the big invoice text instead. And then I had the idea to sort of extend that center line of the E and use it as a separator line for these two items. And here I've got the same issue of centering text in order to allow for the variable widths. But this looks interesting, so I get rid of my other solution. I wasn't sure about how heavy and black the invoice text and numbers are next to my light logo, so I tried lightening the number and date, but yeah, I wasn't really feeling that. So then I tried lightening the typography, which was maybe kind of interesting, but I don't know. Here I'm adding in the other elements I had in my old invoice and aligning it to the sort of emerging grid structure I've got going on. Although that grid structure is quite loosely defined, and don't worry, I'll get back to that. But first I'm adding in all that stuff at the bottom to get a feel for how this whole document is coming together, and I had the idea of saving space by moving my thank you message to be in line with the bank info. But this is where I've got enough of a sense of what I want to do that it's time to formalize this and introduce more of an actual grid. I would use a proper baseline grid for more complex documents or publications, but here I'm just adding in a table with 4 columns and working off of the vertical lines in that. Now you might ask, why didn't I just start with a structured grid from the beginning? Well, sometimes I do that, but other times I think it's interesting to start a little more free-form and adapt a grid to the needs that emerge in the document at hand, rather than choosing a grid first and then forcing my content into that grid. So here I'm kind of speed running you through how I'm rescaling everything in order to adhere better to my new 4-column grid. Oh, here I was testing different numbers to see how this might look. I still wasn't sure how to deal with this separator line. I didn't want to have to adjust it for every invoice I make. I left it unresolved, but I work it out a bit later, so stay tuned for the exciting conclusion to that thriller. At this point, I had the perhaps strange idea that it could be cool to actually leave the remnants of my grid system guide table as a subtle design element in my document, so I started styling the table to make that happen. I think that looks cool. Okay, so back to this divider line. I figured out that I could make a paragraph style for the date text that would draw the separator line and scale it to whatever length of text I have. So here you can see that it redraws itself to be the right length, depending on what text I enter. Sweet! While the line is the same width as the center line of the E in invoice, it does feel optically a smidge heavier to me, so I might adjust that later, but I'm leaving it be for now. With my grid system more established and even represented visually with those actual little lines at the top and bottom of my document, it felt more right to actually include the edges of the table, so I brought those back in. It makes everything feel more aligned, even if it's the most boring way to style a table. And then I'm just adding a bit more padding to the table content. And speaking of table content, here I'm adding more rows to see what can comfortably fit now. And remember how I converted that bottom row to a table footer? Well, this is why. Now I can simply move the bounding box for the table up and down to set how many rows I need, and the bottom row will still always be included. This is such a huge improvement from how I had it set up in my old invoice template in Illustrator. Next, I did a little kerning to the invoice header. I feel a little intimidated dealing with type in public like this. Some people are so good at this. It's not what I'm most confident about, but this felt like a small improvement at least. So now the payroll thing. Basically, I spaced these all out and then I'm placing them on separate layers. Since they're not part of the actual table structure, they won't go away when I collapse table rows by moving the table bounding box up and down. So I need another simple way of turning these on and off, and layers seems like a good hack to me. It's easy to just turn on the ones I need for any given invoice. And then, this has all been very rigid and boring and business-like, but my business is not really like that, so I'm adding a bit of personality here. First by including a word of the day, which is like completely ridiculous, but you know, just something for the person handling invoices to look at and wonder like, what's up with this? Like, why not give that person a tiny break from the monotony of their day, you know? And then finally I'm adding my cartoon character Franklin in the bottom corner and letting him thank the client for me. Franklin was the star of the first project I did as an independent designer and animator, and I've made several projects featuring this character, so it's almost like he's a mascot for my business. So this feels right and immediately makes my invoice the most human-looking document they've ever received at most clients' finance departments. There's no penalty for adding a little delight, so why not show that my business is unique and fun and deserving of huge piles of money? I'm letting Franklin and his speech bubble kind of break the grid a bit there, which makes the document breathe a little. And I like how his black body counters the heaviness of the black invoice type at the opposite top corner. So the whole thing just feels more balanced and complete. Like I mentioned, I may still refine the weight of that separator line between the invoice number and the date, but otherwise I think I'm ready to make some money with this. Alright, well, I know that this isn't a very splashy kind of designer project to make a video on, but I hope you found it sort of interesting anyway. I feel like everyday design stuff like this is sort of underrepresented in favor of people making like big posters with like 13 gradients on it and stuff, and I mean like that stuff is great, but hopefully there's some room for this kind of thing as well. If you agree, please say so by hitting that like button or just tell me in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.